Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Not Funny Guys Presents Red Dwarf Rewatch. I am your host, Dr. John, and we are cruising right along into Series 7, and we have reached Episode 3, Ouroboros. Ouroboros. Directed by Ed Vai, written by Doug Naylor. And this episode was released on the 31st of January, 1997. And before we get into it, we've got a new crewmate. So strap in. Lister, Cat, and Crichton stumble upon a tear in the fabric of space-time that leads them to connecting with another dimension. There, in this parallel dimension, Lister's old girlfriend, Christine Kochanski, now played by Chloe Annette, was the one who got put in stasis, and now they are stranded on Starbug as well, and Lister is now the hologram. Meanwhile, Lister, our Lister, the human one, discovers the truth about himself and who his parents were. Yeah, I know. So it's the grandfather. I think Futurama did an episode very much like, it's the grandfather paradox, folks. We're about to get into it. So while we do that, let's break this down. So we open on a box being slid under a table for super gravity pool, with the words Oro and Boros sort of spaced out, like something two morons would write. It was written by Lister, so. Mysterious music, and there's a baby inside. Man walks in the bar. He's looking for service. He finds the baby in the box and then shows it to the woman behind the bar. And they think that the lettering on the box, Ouroboros, is perhaps his name. Flash forward, and we see Lister. This is Lister's origin story. He's trying to shave and brush his teeth, and then he stops to use like big clippy prong things to pull out his nose hair. At one point, he's going to compare this to the burden of men versus women having labor. This is nowhere near that, and I would not agree with that. At one point, he sneezes, and he accidentally blows the cap off his tooth. He finds it. He wants to put it back on, but it would take Crichton some time to get the paste for it, so he uses wood glue. And now Crichton shows him, who's walked in, has shown him these old clothes, and he found, apparently, it's like a female little nightgown piece, cover, fuzzy bunny slippers. He's talking about his nose hairs, like I said, and Lister starts flossing and had forgotten about the wood glue and gets it stuck in his mouth. Cat comes in, tells them there's an anomaly. No time to get prepared. Lister then has the little gown on, and now has the tooth floss in his thing. He throws it over his ears, and he's got the bunny slippers, and they go out to find out what's happening. They see this sort of rift, space-time rifty, timely-wimely, spacey-wacy thing coming right at them. They decide to ride it like a wave, and then they basically get caught up into it. And there's a whole bunch of explosions and shaking, and then they find out that something has emerged on their engineering deck. So they go down, scan it, and apparently find out they've been connected up through a tube to a parallel dimension. The portal is a little unstable. In fact, the cat almost falls through into what's like no space. And they end up meeting now a new Red Dwarf crew. There's a Lister, who is a hologram, Cat, and a Crichton. And then, all of a sudden, we see it's Kochanski. And we see this after we get a little bit of a cut flashback to when Rimmer came back. Lister came back from shore leave. He's met by Rimmer. And they go to this whole thing. He's putting stuff away in a locker after getting through customs. He went on this shore leave to get over Kochanski. They just broken up. Rimmer spends the whole time kind of gloating about how she's way outside of his class, all that stuff. While they're talking, putting his stuff away in his locker, Kochanski comes up, and Lister then tries to get her to adopt a new Space Corps salute. It's this one, basically. The best part is when Kochanski tells him, "You need to go have sex, please. Like you're pathetic." Lister and Kochanski had this really awkward conversation after he leaves. She's gotten back together with Tim, who Lister says is pompous with his white coat and fluffy hat. And he's a chef. He calls him a poser. She then discovers he's hiding that kitten in his jacket, and she takes it and says, "You're in violation. You could get in a lot of trouble for that." But she goes to incinerate it in what looks like a terrible microwave. It gives her this cutest face. She keeps it. And so she's the one who got the 6-month stasis. And now this is when she appears in front of them. Lister desperately is trying to clean himself up, even though he looks like a like a trailer trash trying to impress her thing. This sort of like awkward re-meet is awful, just awful. They've only got 2 hours to exchange basically information and tech. Chansey wants Lister to basically fill up a jar that already has her materials in it, but she just needs his man juice. She wants to have a baby, and since her Dave Lister is a hard-light hologram, that's not possible. Unfortunately, though, they are now attacked by the Gelfs. It's always the Gelfs. You know, like it used to be the Klingons or the Romulans. It's now the Gelfs. Kachansky falls into the rift of non-space. She's holding onto a thing that her Lister has. Lister throws her the dental floss. And then he pulls her back up with his teeth. So she's now stuck with them. She wakes up back on Starbug and starts kissing Dave, and he's like getting Crichton to butt out, but he won't, trying to point out that she's delusional. She then finally realizes she's on their Starbug and not her Starbug, and she wants to now get the link way back when they are still under attack by the Gelf battlecruiser. And apparently it's Lister's wife. You know, the one he abandoned back in Emo Hawk Polymorph 2? Yeah. They get a communique. He needs to return to his bride. There's no such thing as like divorce or separation. Kachansky is really put off when they seem to fail to understand coordinates and things like that. Like they're dumb. This is the dumb crew. And so they fly down to an ice planet. They're in the chase. She manages to get them to pull up at the right time. Gelf ship crashes. They escape. Crichton now begins his run of, shall we say, major jealousy against Kachansky. He comes in and he's trying to fold the laundry. He's all pissy about it. He calls her a bossy trollop. He's trying to basically get Lister to side with him because your dream girl's here now. Blah, blah. Crichton is very upset. He wants her gone. He's very, like I said, very jealous. And this will be kind of a trope that runs on for a while here. Crichton apparently has seen her showering, and she has all the in and out bits that he knows Lister likes. And then he tries to make Lister choose between being with her naked and folding laundry, and he knows he's lying when he chooses the laundry. Crichton says, "You're going to abandon me just like everyone on the Nova 5, and Lister has to remind him everybody died of old age. And like I said, the beginning of a sort of a subplot line, okay, a bit. Crichton then goes to help Kachansky reestablish the dimensional bridgeway. Awkward part with them trying to work together. She wants to know why Crichton hates her. He tries to tell her he doesn't. Then they mock each other for the way they walk. Like he walks with his knees up and down. And of course she does the, walking with the hips like, a beautiful woman in heels does. Ah, yes. I love it. Like I said, they criticize each other's walks. Then they get the bridge back and they're super happy. They even high five each other. Crichton calls for celebration with the champagne. Kachansky points out these two-way communicators that might allow them to cross dimensions and talking about when his son is born. He's giving her the samples that she needs when, and they're about to kiss when Crichton interrupts. Of course, he had been telling her all about being found under the pool table when he was a kid and how they couldn't make up whether to call him Rob or Ross. Two names that couldn't decipher on the box. Like I said, about to kiss when Crichton interrupts them. Cleaning the rails. The supply exchange they're doing, one of the boxes has a snake eating itself, which is the Ouroboros, which means infinity, a loop. Lister finally puts the whole thing together. This is all about him. He knows that he and Kachansky are his own parents. And he has to basically admit that Chris is not only his ex-girlfriend, but his mom. God says he should write a letter to Playboy about it. He's in the tunnel. He literally calls out Mom for her. Chris then turns around to talk to him when all of a sudden the Gelfs attacks. All right. And they're separated again. She's on their side once again. She decides to jump. When she jumps, she misses. She's falling into no space. Calls on the phone to exchange information with him and tells him, "I've decided to stay. And you need to rescue her, though." They go and find a crossbow and rope, and Lister manages to shoot her in the leg, for which she goes, "Bastard." She then manages to call. Crichton picks up as they're pulling her up, and she is furious, and he says it's an obscene phone call. Got her back in the sick bay, and all of a sudden she's like, changes her mind again. Tries to walk out of the sick bay, but her back is open, and Crichton just lets her go and says, "Welcome aboard." Finally, we cut back to where we began in the beginning. Now we see Lister holding the box with the baby, gives him this whole talk about how he was born to create a paradox and the human race will never end. slides him under the table, right back where it began. Cut to credits. Beautiful, beautiful episode. I must say these last two have gotten way more into the Red Dwarf vibe than the unfortunate element of that postscript they tagged onto the end of episode 1, Ticket to Ride. So thankfully, I'm liking we're getting back into the real, shall we say, Red Dwarf of it all. But next time, we've got Duck Soup. And if you think Crichton is jealous now, just you wait. Oh, just you wait. Right. But in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe. Yeah. Like, subscribe, share, comment. That's it. I'm leaving that in. Trying to say that stuff off the tip of my tongue is sometimes a nightmare. But, like I said, do those things. Write us down in the description. notfunnyguys.offthereels@gmail.com. Down here in the ticker. We want to hear from you about what we're doing on this and our other programming. So over here on the YouTube channel, I'm pretty much thinking, I'm leaning towards, I think we're going to go with maybe News Radio next. Then Blackadder, probably then cut back to probably Brockmire. Those are definitely in the rotation, but I want to mix it up so we don't have the whole Anglophile element of it too hard here, even though I am an Anglophile. Sorry. Talk about those things, give me suggestions, all that fun stuff. You can also comment on the video and tell me stuff as well. But if you want to just directly message me with any kind of commentary, thoughts, bad language, I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings, but please don't. That's why you should write us. And also you can write us about our other programming. So the other Not Funny Guys material, we have our main podcast, Not Funny Guys Presents Off the Rails. Right now, we just uploaded our Thanksgiving special, and we are working on, and next week we will have our next run. So we've got our Thanksgiving special, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That is up. And then starting next week, you should be able to see our next run of movies, which will be Jurassic Park, starting with the original from 1993. So stim in for that. If that's not your flavor, feel free to check out my other Not Funny Guys, my other co-hosts on the Off the Reels podcast, Casey and Eric, as they do their Wrestling with the Horror of It All, where they talk about wrestling and horror movies. And if that's not your cup of tea, we do have one more, the little bit of the niche side of things with myself and Dr. Kristen, our Not Funny Gal. Not Funny Guys presents Thinking About Thinking, where we do academic, culture, research, AI, the whole lot of things, anything that we are thinking about. So check that out as well. But I hope you all are having a wonderful holiday season. Please keep enjoying, and please come back and keep tuning in. In fact, I know this episode will be going up on Black Friday. So stay home and watch this instead. Don't get caught out there with the craziness. But in the meantime, don't be a smeghead. Keep it not funny. And I'll see you next time.